Welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable, where we're about to break down, discuss, unpack, and challenge pretty much anything spiritual. Together, we're going to embark on a journey of unlocking spiritual potential through a ton of things like healing, balance, oneness, devil's advocate, and so much more. We always promise to give you what you need and only sometimes what you want. I'm your host, Erika M, child of balance, and here with me, my co-host, is Miss Erin M, keys of wisdom 369. Join us today as we go over how to know if you're in a cult, what it looks like, how to discern it, and how to be careful to avoid it. We're also going to talk about soul fam, what it means, what it is, and what it's not. Join us.
This one's going to be great. I'm telling you guys, I'm laughing and we haven't even started yet. This one's going to be great because it's going to be that lighter topic and it's just going to be fun. A lot of times people will use the word soul fam and it's thrown all over soul family, my soul tribe, whatever. And it's plastered like a bad advertisement all over everybody in spirituality. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. However, those terms, when used inappropriately, is like its own little spiritual trap. It's its own little box. It's its own little guidelines, fenced in area, your own little picket fence yard that you got to be careful. Because when it's real, you're going to know. When you're trying to make the shoe fit Cinderella, you're also going to know. And we're going to talk about it. The other word that we're going to talk about is cults. Cult, C-U-L-T. Like, I think Brian got sucked into a cult. You're right. He probably did. And we're going to talk about that too. So, a lot of times what people don't realize is that cult is like a widely used umbrella term, is the way that I'm going to say it. There's no one look to a cult. There's not. Because it can bridge both religiously, spiritually, even like so much as being conspiracy theory cults. Like it can have a large range of topics and still qualify as a cult. But there are some key things that identify it as a cult and not your soul family. And we're going to get into it. So when we first start thinking about groups of people coming together, the first thing everyone always thinks of is hippie-yaya, and we're at a festival together, and my sunflowers and my pot. I'm sorry, that's what everybody thinks about when you think about the non-spiritual person thinking about, we're going to get together. Great. They all think we high on life. And you laughing if you think that's not the truth. But then the other side of that is religion. People go, well, religion's a cult. Not technically. However, there is some overlapping. It can be, but not all religion. And that's what we're going to go on. So when you think about cults, just in general, they're usually smaller. They can grow in numbers and in size, but they genuinely start off very small. They start off with one, maybe two people that then gather one or two people and who then gather one or two people. And the next thing you know, you have a whole pyramid scheme. And your cult is like the entire size of like Montana or something, Utah, like it starts growing in numbers, but really they're typically smaller. They're usually less influential. Now, it's hard because I feel like when people think of cults, they immediately think of the Mormon church out in Utah. Like, I'm going to tell you that right now. I can't tell you when people have brought that up in comments, in lives lately. It's hysterical. I don't know if it's because that show, the Mormon Sisters or whatever, Sister Wives or whatever that show that just came.
Yeah, there's also some other show where they talk about
like escaping Mormon. I don't know, something, right? So that's been on everybody's mind apparently lately. But it's really important to know that they usually start off small. There's some key factors though about the heads of these small groups of people that we want to you want to take a look at, right? Like your soul fam will be accepting of you. Hate to tell you, they'll be accepting of you. Even in your flaws, they'll be accepting of you because you guys are linked by the soul and your soul knows. It's not, I like Karen because she brought brownies. No, it's, holy shit, Karen's life's a wreck, but man, I love that chick, right? There's a connection there that can't necessarily be understood. You may have known someone from a past life. You may be like, I met you yesterday and I don't even care. You're my person. I know everything about you, and that's what it is. And there's that instant click. There's that instant, like jiving kind of energy to being like, I want to learn about you, but I feel like I've known you my whole life. Congratulations. You have met someone who is either in your soul tribe, in your soul family, or is a very deep soul tie. Congratulations. However, they're not looking to lead you. They're not looking to be above you. They're not looking to be like, I'm in charge. You guys just besties living life. You guys are considered family. You guys share openly back and forth. There shouldn't be a ton of mystery secrets where we're withholding from the class, right? For some maniacal plot or scheme, right? Like, those things are all not happening. And a lot of times when you get leaders of a cult, a lot of times they demand a lot from you and they set the tone. And I mean that. They set the tone. It's my way or the highway, and they have no problem showing you where the highway is. And as long as it's their way, you're included. Yeah, as long as it's their way, you're included.
Yes. I also think it's really important, especially like since we're doing, like spiritual community, like soul family. You have to remember, and I mean, this is what's always comical to me is we're all works in progress, right? As far as our healing goes. So if we all want to talk about like that we have parent wounds, we have family wounds, we have this and that. And then we have people that haven't really healed these wounds who are all, I'm here to save humanity. I'm building community. I'm doing this. We've talked about it, but seriously, we've talked about it in other episodes in other ways. Like the wounded you can't be taking the wheel of things because the wounded you is looking for that notoriety, that this, that, because it's still in a very unhealed space. So when people start throwing the word soul family around, you got to remember not everybody has the same definition of family. That's something I've learned throughout my life, whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's soul family, whether it's spiritual community stuff. Not everybody has the same definition of family. And how you might think that you treat family might not be what somebody else thinks that's their definition. They may come from dysfunction and trauma and this and that, and that's how they think that family operates, that there's a hierarchy. And that's like exactly what you were saying. Like there's this hierarchy when it comes to, spiritual cults or, not really true soul fams or this, that, or this, because there is that hierarchy. You get placed below somebody. They try to tell you what your gifts are, what your abilities are, what you're here to do,
what your role is,
how you're a piece to their plan and their puzzle. And then they're just moving people around their board accordingly. And it's almost like you don't have a say. You're always supposed to report what you know or the messages you get or your downloads or whatever, right? Because somebody needs to know what you know at all times. Your intuition gets used against you. Your emotions get used against you. You get triangulated and pitted against other people in your community or your soul family, right? Whatever you want to call it. I think so many people can relate to this. I've seen so many people talking about it in live where they're like, oh, I just lost my soul family, that like my community that I've been jiving with for this long. I got pitted against this was happening to me, right? You get triangulated where it's like you're all not allowed to share or connect or this or that unless it's that hierarchy, the leader, right? Telling everybody, well, you can talk to this person and you can talk to this person. And then, oh shit, these two people talked and now they know something. And then here we go, there's this like power struggle. That's not normal. And when you don't know better, and that's what I said, like that's the worst part. So many people don't know better because when you start this path, and I'm just going to call it this path, like you always say, I love how you say it, B, when you're like, we've always been walking our path. We've always been doing the thing. We're now just giving it a label because we're consciously doing it and we're calling it our spiritual journey or our awakening or whatever, because now we have the conscious capacity to know that we're doing things with a purpose, with a reason, with this, even though we've been doing this our whole life and not calling it anything, even if it was going in circles, loops, patterns, whatever you want to call it. But so many people come into this looking for that connection, seeking that connection to feel a part of something, to feel welcome somewhere. And they get this idea that that's what the spiritual community is. And sometimes that within itself is a trap, because the first people that offer you a kind word or make you feel welcome or this or that could absolutely just be preying on you being like a newbie and not knowing anything about anything. And then, just like you said, they begin to mold you and form you into what they want you to be. And it's gross.
And a lot of times it's the extremes. Like, it really is, the cult side of things is the extremes. The beliefs are wild. You don't hear them a lot of places. There's some uniqueness to them. You know, either they're predicting the end of the world or the savior complex, or right, like, and it's to the extreme. It's not like, oh, eventually our resources are going to die out, so we should try to conserve. No, it's like, well, you know, I hate to tell you, but, you know, I don't know, God's sending another boat for us all, like, but he's only sending it for our small group of 20 people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's always something just to the level 2000.
But I love that you just said that, because that brings me back to just a topic in the spiritual community, the 144,000. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, because when people start going, the 144,000, I am a chosen one. I am part of the 144,000. If it is putting you in a
You are
category,
chosen because you chose.
thank you.
You
First of all, yes,
chose to do this. You are chosen because
yes,
you chose.
you
Your
are,
free will. You can choose at any time to say fuck this with a big middle
yes,
finger in the goddamn air and be like, not this lifetime. We just eating hot dogs and french fries. I'm not doing any of this bullshit.
correct.
That's your free will. So know that even though you think you've chosen, no, you're not chosen. You chose this life, this path. That's what you chose.
And again,
So
not to get in,
my
not
small
to get
rant
into
is
the whole,
done.
oh no, not to get into the whole 144,000 thing too deep. But like, the bottom line is it's a frequency. It doesn't exclude anybody. It's something that everyone can attain, right? But when you sit in those spaces and in those communities and with those people who have that ego problem or that superiority complex or that savior complex, they will try to convince you that you are this elite select few who came here to do something that nobody else can do. Bullshit. And I am going to say that, bullshit. And the reason I say that, just like you said, if you choose to be chosen, you choose to do the work, you choose to heal, because healers, true healers, do not walk around calling themselves healers. They heal themselves and then they teach other people to do it by leading by example. They don't ask for notoriety. They don't think that they're better than you. They don't put themselves on a pedestal. They literally put themselves right here. And if you can't see me, I'm like putting my hands at an even level, right? And everybody's freely there with you. We all sit at the same level. We all sit at the same table, right? Or we have our own table. Like you've always said, we push the tables together, right? It's not about excluding people, because the thing is, at any given point in time, we all have the choice to change our perspective. Once upon a time, all of us had a limited perspective. We did, until we chose not to have one. So that doesn't exclude anybody. It gives everybody that opportunity. So when you sit in a place where somebody is like fueling and pumping up your ego, that you are more than something outside of you, that's a problem.
Well, and it's what a lot of people don't realize is that your soul fam will be supportive, it'll be nurturing, you'll feel like you belong
Yes.
in that group of people, in the conversations, you won't feel left out because your soul will feel like it belongs there. And that's really a huge part of it, because a lot of what happens in cult-like groups or behaviors or gatherings or things like that is one person is controlling everybody, how
Yes.
they live their life, their choices, their roles in the group or community. like what they can and cannot do, even sometimes even down to finances and down to who they can talk to, who they can mingle with, how much they are out in public versus how much they're isolated and away from everybody, right? Like it can go from minor control in all those areas to like padlock the door control into you eat what I tell you, you breathe, you go to bed when I tell you, you only talk to these two people, you go to here at this time, and you're not like, right? Very, very highly structured where it's all controlled by one person. And sometimes people start in like small groups and you don't realize, and a lot of times in spiritual communities, it's because a lot of these cult-like leaders get hid under mentors, they get hid under spiritual teachers, they get hid under
Life
these
coach.
small life coaches, these small titles that don't seem that crazy, right? Most cults won't be like, this is, you know, the star of Sister Jesus cult, like you're not going to find them online, you know what I mean? Like, so a lot of times it's really like these small titles, but then when you get involved, it's like this one person is telling you how to live every aspect of your life, and should you question it,
You're the
well, you're the problem and you're wrong. And even though it doesn't work for you, you're wrong because they know. And you got to be really careful because not often, not often do they bring you 2 to 10. So not often do you meet somebody and they go, great, I'm going to control every area of your life. You have like this really disgusting honeymoon period
yes.
of like, we're going to get you introduced. We're going to set you up with a longtime person who's been my follower forever, right? Who's been my whatever for forever. And then we're going to then move you to this. Oh, you may even get a title. Like, oh, you're going to be this person for me, right? You're going to help me do this. And you're like, well, you've helped me so much. I can't imagine not helping you, of course. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, but then they're going to be giving you advice. And you're going to be like, well, they help me in other areas, so like I'm gonna follow their advice because it sounds good, right? And then now all of a sudden, now I'm being given a role. I'm being told what to do and how to do it. Now I'm giving up your time, your energy, your money, whatever it is, right, to help this other person on their grand mission. And then what ends up happening is you start being encouraged to get more followers. Tell who you know. Tell who you know. Bring them in the clique. I'm sure you know somebody who would love to do what we're doing. But then it gets even more strict. The longer you're there, the less freedoms you have. The more you realize that, wait, but isn't what you said just contradicted what you said, like contradicted what you said like a month or two ago? And then you get shut down. You can't ask those questions. You
Correct.
can't be like, hey, so remember you said like a year ago you were going to tell us all the plan? Like, what's the plan again? Because, and then you get some runaround and you still don't know the plan because only the leader's allowed to have the plan. Like, there's a lot of this that is hidden away. And it sounds really silly, and you're like, I would never get involved in that. You have probably been dangerously close to getting involved in it, especially if you on the TikTok and if you on social media and you on all these places where you're not just bumping into a cult leader at Walmart. Like, a lot of times it's the distance that you don't realize how crazy things could be behind the scenes. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying there's probably at least one person in the spiritual community that you've bumped into that you probably are no longer associated with, that had you not left, you would have probably been indoctrinated, drawn deeper into some messed up system, some messed up cult-like group, soul fame, drink the Kool-Aid, kind of wild, psychosis, narcissism, whatever it is, that would have totally side railed your whole life. And it's like, your soul fam shouldn't side rail your whole life.
No.
That's what's wild. Like, you all here because you guys are supposed to help each other. You guys, like, you existing, you experiencing, you know, the lives, the journey, the whatever level you guys are at, whatever that, like, you guys are all aiding each other. The second your soul fam starts stabbing you in the back, well, that's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. You got to ask yourself why. I'm not saying it can't happen. It very much can. Free will's a thing. but it's usually not the go-to for soul fam. So if you just met somebody and they calling you soul fam and they've been poking you with a iron rod since day one, probably not your soul fam. If they're demeaning you, if they're talking down to you, if they're making you feel bad about your abilities, you're whatever, you're this. I don't care how deep of a soul tie you have. That's not your person. Not this go around. Let them go. Let them go, cupcake. Because the more you try to stay there in that environment, that's not good. You're only hurting yourself. Like
Correct.
there's a certain part of like that type of a community that you got to be careful. The second that someone starts to tell you to isolate yourself or don't
To
go here,
water
don't go
down your
there.
gifts. To water down
Yeah.
your gifts or your abilities. Because the thing is, okay, let's be serious. Your gifts are authentic to you. Nobody can do it like you. You can't do it like anybody else, because if you are, then you're just imitating something. It's not authentic to you. Nobody can, I'm just going to keep saying that. Nobody can do what you do the way you do it. Period. End of story. Like you say, your nest is your nest. It's not somebody else's nest. So if you're in a space where you feel, or you're being made to feel like you're too much, your gifts are too much, the way you interpret something, feel something is too much or a problem, it's because somebody's competing with you. And 9 times out of 10, it's a war or a battle you're not even a part of. But you and who you are in your nest is an irritant to something around you. And your soul fam is going to be people who encourage you, who support you, who add to the experience in that moment. That doesn't mean your soul fam like never changes. Your soul fam changes as your frequency and your energy changes. So sometimes there are shakeups, but it's just like, just like you were just saying, B. It's not that stab you in the back. It's not that I'm going to shit talk you. It's not that we going to make you the problem and you the problem and you the problem because we had a difference of opinion, or we had different philosophies, or we had different knowledge bases. Because that's the thing. Awakening, expanding your consciousness. If you still have, I'm sorry, like you can shoot the messenger today because I don't give a shit, but like the entire purpose is to evolve. Okay, I'll tell you right now, my constructs or belief systems a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago are not the same as they are right now. Because I have had so many different experiences that have shaped those things or led me to question those things that I once thought, oh, well, I didn't know what I didn't know, right? That's your know better, you do better. So you don't know what you don't know. And as you experience, you gain more knowledge, more wisdom, more perspective. The idea is to continually be questioning yourself and evolving and growing. So the thing is, your soul fam's going to support that because they're going to be in that alignment of doing the same thing. If you still have the same patterns of belief that you had a year ago, you might want to look at that. You might want to look at that. Because that means that you're like, this is the only way there is. This is the only construct there is. And I'm not opening myself up to any other possibilities, which means you're now limiting yourself. And then by limiting yourself, you're judging other people for not sitting in that same construct that you're in. It's not to say your construct's wrong or your belief system's wrong. It's just to say that there are other possibilities out there. Are you open to the fact that there's other possibilities? Or are you so closed off that your ego can only handle what you think?
Now, a word from our sponsors. If you are looking for a one-stop shop for all things spiritual, check out the website, www.childofbalance.com. We opened up a Get 5, Give 5 program. And it's all for referring friends and family. We know you guys do it. We want to say thank you because we are always seeing you send your trusted people our way. So visit the website and figure out how you can not only get $5 for doing it, but give $5 to your bestie. Visit www.childofbalance.com. There's no end date. We're just launching it now to say thank you. So if you want a one-stop shop for private spaces, spiritual guidance and assistance, mediumship, mentorship, private readings, shadow work, assistance. It's all there. If you are looking for a free tree of knowledge where you can learn esoteric wisdoms, breath work, you can learn about yourself, cultures, spiritual hygiene, spiritual practices, spiritual traditions, and you can just learn about almost anything under the sun spiritual for 100% free, check out the website. And you should become a member. If you're not already a member, www.childofbalance.com. It's 100% free. It'll never cost you money. We would never charge you money. The website is about assistance and community. Take advantage of it, fam. It's a great place to go to unlock your spiritual potential. www.childofbalance.com.
Well, and it's something really important to remember that most people who would be finding themselves being a leader or the ringleader of cult-like groups or organizations or communities or whatever, a lot of times they're in a level of psychosis. They have a level of narcissism to them. So it's a very layered topic.
Yep.
When you start getting into spiritual items, because there's a lot of words that can be used that sound nice, right? Your divine path, your destiny, the 144,000, the chosen ones. There's a lot of trigger words that you'll hear thrown around in groups or things like this, but you got to remember, because a lot of these beings, people, whatever, vessels, they're unhealed as shit. They're unhealed as fuck. I don't care. You can't be healed and be a narcissist. Hate to tell you. You can't. It doesn't make sense. So it's like when you start looking at it versus your soul fam is going to be unconditionally supporting you. It's not that they're always going to be flying smoke up your ass, but they're not going to be manipulating you.
Not only that, your soul fam will call you out. Your soul fam will hold you to that standard. They'll be like, yo, hey, like, I love you, but like, you might want to go ground your ass. Like, you getting a little bit up astronaut, let's come back down to earth, right? Like,
but you feel like you can have that type of a conversation, that
correct.
type of openness with your soul fam, that non-judgmental, unconditional support and acceptance and all of these types of things.
Yes.
With that cult-like platform, a lot of times you won't.
No.
You have to show undying loyalty and questioning that type of a system, the beliefs, the plans, the functions, the whatever, is seen as disloyalty.
Correct.
Or questioning leadership, which cannot be tolerated.
Correct.
And it sounds very silly. You're like, well, this doesn't apply to me. It probably does on some light level. I would be utterly shocked if you didn't come across somebody who tried to manipulate the shit out of you in spiritual land for their own gain, for their own notoriety, for their loyalty, for what you could do for them, to maintain their own ego. It doesn't matter what it is.
But let's be serious. Let's break it down even further. It's simple things like people manipulating you, trying to tell you when your union's coming, when your abundance is coming, when all these things outside of you are coming. Guess what? Bearer of bad news here. It's not coming until you change your inner world, until you feel that you're worthy of the things, until you are in a healed space, that you see your worth, you're okay with you love yourself, you show yourself kindness and grace, you allow yourself to feel all the emotions without the shame, without the judgment, without the this. If you are still doing those things, that is exactly what you're going to attract back in your life. And fun fact, as two people who read for people, we will tell you, we will read for you in this present moment only. Do you know why? Anything outside of this present moment, you have free will. You can change the trajectory of anything that is said right here and right now. So people promising you things outside of yourself and saying this is coming and this or that, Okay. But how often does that actually pan out for you? Because you're believing in something outside of you. You're needing somebody to confirm something to you that can only be confirmed through that, and I'm going to use the word divine for a minute, but that divine intervention, that divine timing, when it's meant to be. And the thing is, God, source, spirit, creator, universe usually doesn't tell us when that time is, right? It just happens.
I'm going to tell you, if you think you're in a soul fam right now and you're listening to this like, oh God, and some of the things on the cult side are pinging for my soul fam, what do I do? And you're panicking. Ask yourself, has the people in your soul fam ever told you that your abilities are for them? And I mean it so that what you do is for their greater plan. What you have the ability to do fits perfect in what they need, or that you're there to support them in their direct orders, because that's alarming.
Yes.
That's alarming because they are giving you no individuality. Your purpose is to be a sidekick, and I need you to hear it like that. They're telling you your divine purpose is minuscule to what they're supposed to be doing, and you are basically their Robin and their Batman. Like, that's crazy. They're giving you no nothing, no kudos, no bloop. It's like, great, you have it, give it to me because I'm supposed to be the one to handle it, right? Like, your soul fam will be more than accommodating, more than accepting of your individuality, of your growth and your wins. They're not going to tell you that your wins don't count for you. It counts for them or the group that's under their name. No, sit down. Your wins are yours. Your achievements, your growth is yours. They want you to grow individually as much as they would like their fam to level up together. A lot of times in soul fam, someone will grow, and then another person will grow, and then they'll grow again, and then they'll grow. And now we're just back and forth stacking up blocks, and everybody's kind of growing together. Like, it shouldn't be just one person doing all this crazy work and everybody else is just
Along for the ride.
And that's just not how it goes.
No, it's not.
Like, I'm sorry, it's just not. Yeah, it's just not how it goes. And
I'm sorry, nobody's saving us. Like we always say that. You're not broken. You don't need saving, right? People aren't coming to save you. One
no,
person isn't going to wave their wand or use their abilities or their powers or their this or their that, and they're just going to make it so you just get to stop healing right now because you're in their presence and they do all the work for everyone, and you just need to be here and show your support.
but you just said it. But that's totally it. But you just said it. Is that you don't need saved. But
No.
what happens is a lot of people, especially on their spiritual and their healing journey as babies, as beginners, as newbies, as whatever, you think you're broken.
Yes.
Because you feel broken. You
Yes.
feel fucked up. You feel like you don't fit. You feel like a black sheep. You
And
feel like a
just like
mistake.
someone who
You feel like
understands
and you want someone to get you. So what ends up happening is it makes you really vulnerable to the person who goes, I can help fix you.
Yep.
Because then that's what happens is they form that link mentally with you, that your life got better under their tutelage, under their wing, under their guidance, in their energy, in their system, in their whatever. And that's where a fucked up sort of loyalty starts getting formed.
Yep.
And it's still a perspective, because it's your perspective going, well, I can't step away now. Like, I owe this, but you don't owe them shit.
You don't owe
You
anybody
don't owe them shit. You did the work regardless of where you did. I tell this, I've actually told this to people I've had in shadow work.
Yes.
Like, whole honestly, that they've been like, oh, we put you on a pedestal, or I owe you for, you don't owe me shit. You did all the work.
Yep.
I brought it to the table. You filled it all out. You spent the hours doing it. You did the deep dives. You did the meditations. You did the energy work. You did it all. I was just here bringing it to you, but you still had to check every box. And I know that's the way that you feel. But a lot of times when you deal with people, when you deal with other people who would be considered that cult-like environment, we already said they're narcissists.
Yep.
They have that type of a tendency to be ego-led. right? So then what happens? What the ego needs fed. So they'll take that. Yes, you do owe me. Congratulations. And now they're stacking up loyalty points and they're stacking up how you owe them. And then when you try to do, like, I cannot tell you how many people, and it's disgusting, you go to kind of step away and they'll remind you of all that
Everything
you
they
owe
did for
them.
you.
Not your soul family. I'm sorry, it's not
Nope.
your soul family. I don't care. It's not your soul family.
Nope.
It's not. I'm not saying your soul family can't have narcissistic tendencies and they can't have a trigger point and they can't be like, oh my God. But there's a difference between someone who is genuinely like that narcissistic to where they're dead ass serious. They're not hurt. They're not hurting. They're not in their abandonment wound isn't triggered. They're not in a trigger. This is who they are and
It is
you've seen
part
them
of the
for who
type of
they are.
energy that they embody.
Yeah, there's a difference between someone being triggered and going, well, but you can't leave because what am I going to do? Right? Like those are two different energies between that. Like, don't leave. What am I going to do? And you can't leave because I've made you everything you are. Those are two different, and you could hear the difference in that.
Correct.
So like, you don't even need to explain that. Like one is a panic. I can't do this without you. And the other one is like I don't know where you think you're going, but it's nowhere. That's completely different. And it's just like, it's the energy behind the shit that people say. And I cannot express that enough.
Yes.
We say it all the time. I
Yeah.
don't care if someone's talking about the 144,000 and they're talking of it as people. That's fine. It's like a whole thing. You decide where you sit. I'm gonna tell you it's not people. For me personally, it's energy, it's frequency, it doesn't matter. But if they're talking like that, that's fine. It doesn't necessarily mean they're in a cult, right? It doesn't mean they're in a cult. That's a whole sector of spiritual belief.
Correct.
But what's the energy behind what they're saying?
Correct. Does
Is it still we're gonna help the planet?
Does it divide? Does
Exactly.
it conflict? But that's the thing. That's how you discern energy. What is the energy behind it? Not the word, not the because that's the thing. You're right. It is a whole thing in the religious sector, right? But what's the
Yeah.
energy behind it? And that's what I always tell people. If it divides, if it separates, if it creates negativity, judgment, if it pats somebody's ego, those are signs that that's not a state of balance. That's not a state of interconnectedness. That's not a like, we're all here to come together, right? No, it's the energy behind it. And I want to go backwards really quick because you said something that I thought was really important when you say, when we talk to people in like shadow work or in private spaces and they're like, but you guys are, you're this. Do not for a fucking second think that the people that you might look up to, right? Look up to, seem put together, seem this, seem that. Please trust and believe that a lot of us have crawled out of some of the deepest, darkest, fucked up places. We haven't always had it put together. We haven't always been brave and courageous to share our story or do these things. It is years and decades and all of these things of figuring out everything that we're not to get to this point right now. So remember, and I say this, remember that just what you see on a screen isn't always what somebody is when they're not on the screen. Some people create whole ass personas and come on social media and they embody that character to the best of their fucking ability. And I promise you, the second they turn that off, they turn into somebody you couldn't even fathom. I mean, couldn't even fathom. But just remember that. Don't get caught up in that comparison game when you're trying to be, oh, is this my soul family? Is this? Is your soul family doesn't want you to be anything other than who you are. You don't have to wear a mask. You don't have to figure out the right words to say. You don't have to figure out, oh my God, should I say this? Should I not? Can I share this with the class? Can I not? If you are sitting in an energy where you feel, because based on experience, you've either watched others be attacked, and I'm not being like spiritually attacked, I mean attacked from sharing their views, their perspectives, some message they got, this, that, or whatever. And you're like, well, I shouldn't do that because I don't want to be on the receiving end of that. That's not your soul fame. That's not where you're meant to sit. That means you're playing small. That means you're having to edit yourself like we talked about last week. If you have to edit yourself to be around people that you call your soul fam, that's not your soul fam. You never have to edit yourself for them. In fact, you will never feel so free and goofy and weird and able to just be you in all the capacities that you are. It's almost like you'll peel back another layer and find another layer of you that you hid, that you this, because they bring it out in you. It doesn't scare you in that sense. It's literally like sometimes it's almost like you almost catch yourself going, this has to be too good to be true because this is so easy. I don't have to overthink this. I don't have to overthink that. Like, and that can be scary within itself, right? But that's it. It's like you said in the beginning, your soul knows. Your soul is speaking energetically in a way that words can't even hold a candle to.
Well, and then immediately everyone's first thing is, well, I want that. I want that. But you have to be accepting of who the hell you are first
Or you'll
before
accept
you can
every
be.
single thing that comes a knocking. But I mean, think about that. Think about it through your entire life. When you were struggling with your worth, right? And I mean that, like when you're like, oh my God, I don't, and I mean this as an adult right now, like when people are newbies, right? You're like, oh my God, I don't relate to the world. I don't relate to my old friends. I don't this, I don't that. So you're figuring out where you don't fit in, right? And then you jump 10 toes deep into something that you're like, this kind of makes sense. I'd like to explore this. This seems interesting, right? So you've literally opened all these doors, and that abandonment, that need to be loved, wanted, seen, heard is at the forefront. And the first thing that walks through a door, like that metaphorical door that shows you some attention, you're like, bet. Like, here we come. Like, they get me, they see me, they this. But then if something shifts, and like I'll tell you, your team will give you red flags, even if you don't know who your team is, your intuition will start screaming at you. And it'll get louder and louder and louder, but it'll never change up on you. And it's not that it actually gets louder, it's that you start drowning out all the bullshit. You can just hear it that clearly. And that's how I want to say it. You always say that your intuition is that quiet voice, right? That never switches up. And then people are like, but my intuition was screaming at me. No, I firmly believe in where I sit, your intuition is always that loud. Like, I really do believe that. I believe that it's when we pull the wool over our own eyes, when we wear the rose-colored glasses, when we ignore the red flags, we almost build this fog. And then that fog is what makes it harder to hear. But the fact is, it never changes up on you. So just like you got that weird feeling about Susie when you were like 20 and something rubbed you the wrong way, when that energy hits you in spirituality and in your healing journey, pay attention. Pay attention. Don't let that need to like connect so deeply and find something that really isn't missing, because we always say it, what anything that's for you will never pass you by. It will never pass you by. The people that are for you will be for you. You don't have to convince them who you are. They accept you for you, not for what you bring to the table.
Now, a word from our sponsors. If you are looking for a one-stop shop for all things spiritual, check out the website, www.childofbalance.com. For those of you who truly appreciate handmade products, we have a handmade shop. Everything is made to order, blessed, saged, and sent out as quick as possible. We have anything from handmade sounds for meditation to chakra chain macrames to tree of life macrames with inlaid crystals to herbal blends like bath teas and dump and go specials to road opener mixes to kits and oils and so much more. For those of you who enjoy taking spiritual classes and courses but maybe can't fit it into your busy schedule, we have self-study courses, and everything can be found in the handmade shop. The website is about assistance and community. Take advantage of it, fam. It's a great place to go to unlock your spiritual potential. www.childofbalance.com.
And I'm gonna just say this loud and proud. Nothing in the spiritual community that I would like to say would be anything close to probably any of our viewers, what we teach, what we believe in, is ever going to ask you to hurt others, to
Ne-
hurt yourself, to manipulate others, or to compromise yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, it doesn't matter, financially. If you are in anything in the spiritual community or non-spiritual community that is asking you to do those things, I can promise you, you're not where you're supposed to be. Doesn't matter if it's a religion. It doesn't matter if it's a cult. It doesn't matter if it's a pretend
relationship.
soul fam. Literally, it doesn't matter if it's a job. It doesn't matter what it is. If you are being asked to compromise yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, you are being manipulated. Your morals, your ethics, like all of these things, that's not in alignment with you. The fact that you are being asked to compromise yourself just proves that it's not in alignment with you.
If you're being asked to dislike people, talk shit about people, adopt a belief about people that you don't even know. I'm serious. To adopt belief systems about people you don't even know, right? Just because someone else doesn't like somebody, that gives mean girl vibes. You know what I'm saying? That gives like that junior high, you can't sit with us kind of shit. If you have to adopt someone else's experiences, and I'll say experiences because we all experience things differently. But if you have to adopt someone else's feelings, emotions, thoughts, this, that, and you can't,
That's that control, though, that
if
you're
you can't
not
think
allowed
for
to do
yourself,
X, Y, Z. Yeah.
if you're not allowed to be in, like, you're not allowed to associate with me if you associate with this person or this person or this person. That's control. That is control. That's not where you're supposed to be. That's literally isolation. That's literally abusive behavior. That's actually called coercive control. When someone tries to control all those little aspects of your life until they've stripped it all away and you can't even think for yourself, and then you can't find your way out.
And there's a difference because I can already have that feeling. Someone's like, well, if you're in a relationship and my girlfriend, okay, yeah, look, but your girlfriend isn't telling you what to do. You're making a thing being like, I care about this person and this person is more of a priority to me than whatever else is going on over here. So if I can help it, then I'm going to do it. Right. That's a choice you're making. You're not being told this is what you're doing. And that's the difference. That's the difference. And if you are in a relationship and you're being told what you can and cannot do, being told, not
Where
having an adult conversation, not having an adult conversation, being like, this bothers me, this, and talking with your partner, that's different. You guys should always have open communication about your problems, your issues, what bothers you,
correct.
always. But if you're being told as an adult what you can and cannot do by another adult or even a child, you're wild. And it's a bad relationship and it's unhealthy. They don't teach it enough. But it's unhealthy. Their problems, their insecurities, their whatever are not yours. You can choose with your free will to do whatever you want, and that's your choice as a person. But I'm going to be 1,000% honest in saying that nobody should be telling you what you can and cannot do. And it's really silly. I know the title is going to be kind of funny, how do you know if it's a cult or a soul fam? But those are the questions you got to ask yourself.
Yes.
What areas of my life is it controlling? All of them? Mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, all of them? Is it telling me what I can and cannot do? Is it having me keep secrets? Is there one or two overarching leaders? Do I have a role? And do I have to ask permission for certain things? Are they like controlling my belief system? Am I not allowed to question things? Like, All of these things should be raising red flags that you're not where you're supposed to be, and you're in something toxic. Soul fam is going to be open. It's going to be accepting of your individuality. It's
Yeah.
not going to tell you what to accept or not accept. You are going to feel an instant connection that literally transcends this vessel, this moment in time, this lifetime. It's going to be felt in the soul. If you are loving people from your china, from your head, that's not it. I'm sorry. Like, that is a vessel feeling, and that's not your soul fam. I love you guys. That's not your soul fam. If your first initial reaction is sexual, that's not your soul fam. I love you, but it's not. And that gets a lot of back and forth, but that's really the truth. It's going to be open, supporting, unconditional. You're going to allow to express yourself, your ideas, your thoughts, your opinions, and you're not going to get your head bit off. So if you are in a place where you can't do that, it's not your soul fam. Run. It's not your soul fam. If you have to compromise your morals, your ethics, what you believe, and all that stuff, that ain't it either. Run, Forrest, run.
Forrest, run.
I hope that this helps people, because we know how big of a trap manipulation in spirituality can be, especially for the person who just wants to learn and who just wants guidance because they're so new. None of it makes sense, right? Look out for the people who overuse the trigger words, the big overarching, your path, your this, your all of those things. Watch out for those people and watch how they're using them. Because if they are using every trigger word in the book, but there's no substance, they don't know what they're talking about. They can't explain it. They don't know what they're talking about. If they're always right and never wrong, you shouldn't be there. I just hope that that helps with anybody who may be feeling like they're a little newer to spirituality and they're worried about getting roped into something. Just make sure, I always tell people, take everything and filter it through your bullshit detector.
Yes.
Filter it. It doesn't matter if it's something I say, if it's something Miss Keys says, if it's something a soul family member says, if it's something your job says, a spiritual community leader says. Filter it through your bullshit detector. If it sounds phony, it probably is, and let it be. If there's more phony than there is good, then you in the wrong place, my brother. You in the wrong place. I will see you guys later. Thanks for being here.
Alrighty. Thank you guys so much for listening in, tuning in. Thank you for joining us on the Spiritual Roundtable, where we just really get right down in it, no BS, and we just give you exactly what you need to hear. Not always what you want to hear, but definitely what you need to hear. Thank you for joining myself and Miss Keys of Wisdoms 369 for our talk today. And we hope you join us next week, where we have more straight talk coming right your way. And if you are not a member of the website, but you enjoy conversation like this and free knowledge and learning, we have a free tree of knowledge and you should check it out. Become a member. It's 100% free and you'll find it on www.childofbalance.com. Remember, as you go through this journey, please remember you are to feel your way through everything. Do not stop. Do not make yourself smaller. And always continue to be unapologetically and authentically you, because the world needs more of that.